Hi! How's everyone? Hello, lovely people. We are into August. It's a shocker. Today is, I think, the 8th of August, and I just got back from vacation in Colorado, so I wanted to talk about what I actually read in July and then what I plan to read in August here. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I actually read in July, I got a lot of reading done in July. I couldn't believe it. So since I started doing BookTube, I was like, maybe I'll do 5 books in the month. Maybe I can get 5 in. I have a job, I've got kids. 5 is probably a good place to start. I ended up reading a few more than 5, so I was really happy with my progress. And you know, I was also taking up this whole idea of I need to read more classics, which I'm still on board for, and the classics thing is going to end up going throughout the whole year. It's not just going to be the summer, because I really do enjoy reading more modern books. I can just read them faster and I absorb them better. Classics, the language tends to maybe overwhelm me a little bit, or it's just older language and it takes me a little bit longer to kind of ingest it and to like, oh, I understand what they're talking about. I get it. And once I actually kind of get the language, then it's faster to me and I absorb it and I end up flying through the books. So what I actually read in July, The Girl in His Shadow. It was part of the Big Library Read, and you can find that on TikTok. You can also find it on YouTube. Not very many people were doing an actual video about it other than Libby themselves, and which was kind of a shame. I thought it would end up being like a bigger social media experience, if you will, but it ended up not being a bigger social media experience, which is fine. I don't know how long it's been going on actually, but I am going to read the next book in the series, which is called The Surgeon's Daughter. I found that the book itself was pretty interesting. It did have a lot of discussion about actual anatomy and some kind of gritty, bloody, you know, this is what actually is going on when a surgery happens, which I kind of found mildly interesting. I don't usually like a lot of blood stuff. There is references to using animals for scientific purposes, so if you are completely against that, I really would not recommend that at all. They didn't get very gruesome with that aspect of it, but it was discussed, which I don't have much of an appetite for, but I was able to tolerate it, so it was fine. Otherwise, very interesting book. You know, it's one of these books that's along that female empowerment sort of discussion. Women, you know, being in the same roles that traditionally men would do, and you know, excelling at it, which I think is really cool. So, very good book. I'd probably give it 4 stars out of 5. Not the best wow me kind of book, but a good book, you know, maybe like a 3.54, somewhere in there for me. I thought it was a really interesting book, an interesting concept, well written. It just didn't wow me. It just didn't knock my socks off. The next book that I actually read was Once Upon a Broken Heart. That one was really good to me. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a really interesting, different type of fantasy world. I thought that the female protagonist in the book had a nice balance. Herself as a character, adventurous and cautious, but you know, at the same time level-headed, not panicking all the time. There were elements of scare in there. The Prince of Hearts was a very interesting character. He's an immortal that is cursed, and I think that almost all of the immortals in this series are cursed in some way. And his story is very interesting. He tricks her into doing a lot of things that she probably wouldn't otherwise do. Their relationship grows, of course. There's something there that's love, but it's not maybe quite love. And it's just a very interesting story. And people are used and tricked in this, and mistakes are made, and horrible consequences happen from being tricked. So it's just a really interesting book. I recommend anybody read it. I'll probably read the next one in the series, which is The Ballad of Never After, pretty much as soon as I can get a hold of that. I don't think it's on Libby yet, probably because it's fairly recently put out. But I know that Libby does have other books by Stephanie Garber on there. So Caraval is probably the next one that I will read from her. And there's a whole series of that, it looks like. So I can't wait for that. The next book that I read, The Heir of Fire, Sarah J. Maas. I spoke about that in my last video. So I won't talk about it too much here. I've completed Heir of Fire. I'm listening to these on audiobook, and I think it's through Audible. I had to get these. Heir of Fire, I think, was actually on Libby. And then the next one, which was Queen of Shadows. From Queen of Shadows on, you had to get it through Audible. So that is that. And I'm getting through the rest of the Sarah J. Maas stuff because I've read everything else by her. The next book was A Farwilder Magic. That was a really, really good book. I'm giving that book like a 4.5. Oh, I didn't mention it. I would probably give Once Upon a Broken Heart, I'd probably give it a solid 4 also. Yeah, a solid 4 for sure, because it was just a really interesting concept. A Farwilder Magic, it was so good. I absolutely loved the characters in A Farwilder Magic. The plot, I thought it was kind of slow at first, I'll be honest. When I started it off, it was really kind of slow. It was building up, and you're not even halfway through the book before the actual event goes on. Like, you're more than halfway through the book when the actual hunt occurs. So in this land, there are alchemists, there are regular people, there are these demigods, there are these, I almost would call it a demon of some kind, or some kind of a demigod. But this creature, let me find the actual name of it. The Hala, that's right. So this creature called the Hala, it's like a fox. It's a mythical beast. And the Hala, when it arrives, wherever it appears during the year, it causes death, it causes destruction, it feeds off of the surrounding wildlife, it feeds off of the land, it kills crops, that kind of thing. And so every year there's a hunt that happens. And the hunt is supposed to try to hunt down and kill the Hala. And the Hala is the last one. And so you have the protagonists in this are Margaret Wealthy, who she is the daughter of an alchemist. She herself is not an alchemist. Her mother has been gone. Her mother has been gone for months trying to develop, like, researching alchemy, I think maybe researching how to kill the Hala effectively, that sort of thing. Well, then she meets a gentleman named Wesley who wants to become an alchemist, and he comes to her home, to Margaret's home, to see if her mother will train him to become an alchemist. Her mother's gone. She tells him to go away, and Wesley convinces Margaret to let him stay. Margaret and Wesley find out that the Hala is in their town and that the hunt is going to be going on in their town, and so they decide to participate in the hunt. And you find out more information about Margaret's past, you find more information about Wesley, and Margaret's mother, and all of these. It's just an interesting story how it kind of comes together, and to the very end of it, where the hunt actually happens more near the end of the book, and then the conclusion. And I enjoyed how everything wrapped up at the very end. It's a slow burn romance, so there's that. And it was just an excellent book. I love how it was written. I love the idea of it. I thought it was so cool. I love the alchemy. I love the magic. It was just very, very interesting. So I think I give that a 4.5, not like a solid 5. It didn't wow me to the point where I was like, oh, I have to read this book again. It's just the most incredible thing. I think I will read it again at some point in the future, but yeah, solid 4.5 for me on A Farwilder Magic. I recommend anybody pick that up. And again, that's by Allison Saft. I think that this is at the point where we get to Smut Corner. I'm going to make this a whole thing. I'm either going to count the Smut Corner. I think Smut Corner is like the perfect name for this. Your girl gotta have her smut. I'm sorry. I gotta have it. I can't live my life without it. It's too good. Too good. And some of the smut that's out there I have seen on Book Talk has got me just so intrigued. I just had to pick it up. Anyway, Dark Fae was one that I finished in July. I didn't like Dark Fae. I mean, it was the first in a series that's part of the Zodiac Academy world. The next book I think is Broken Fae, and then after that there's a couple more. But it's Dark Fae, the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, and they are by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. And I think that if you're really into the Zodiac Academy, you're probably going to love these books. But I got through Dark Fae. When I pick up a smutty book to read, I typically don't care if there's much plot or not. This book attempted to have a plot, but it wasn't a plot that I cared about. It was really quite dumb. And from what I had seen on TikTok, on Book Talk, was that this was supposed to be one of the crazier series. This was supposed to be just people on people going at it, insane intercourse going on. Where was it? Two scenes. That was all that was in there, and it was a big whoop-de-doo. You know, it was like a Sarah J. Maas scene. And A Court of Silver Flames, it had more in it than this book did. It did not meet expectation, and it was so hyped up on Book Talk that I was just like, all right, let's give this one a go. It's probably going to be crazy, wild, fun, ridiculous thing. No, it didn't meet my expectations at all. So I give this guy, as far as Smut Corner goes, I would give this like a 1 or 1.5. I'm sure there are much worse out there, but I'm going to give it a 1. So, next one in the Smut Corner for the month of July, and I could not believe this, because I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to read this thing. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Ice Planet Barbarians. Good Lord. I love this book. It was so great. It was so stupid. The plot was just so out there that I was just like, I can't stop reading this at this point. I got to see how this train wreck ends. There was a lot of intercourse, a lot of different ways of intercourse. It was, binary, cis, that kind of gender, opposing genders, opposite genders. I don't know. You guys tell me how I'm supposed to appropriately describe this, but male-female relations through this. So there's no, at least from what I understand, with the rest of the Ice Planet Barbarian seasons, there's no, you know, gay, trans, lesbian, you know, all flavors of the rainbow, if you will. There's none of that in there, which is kind of a shame. But, you know, this is just your regular, you know, basic woman, I guess, wanting to read her smut, okay? So, there was a lot of intercourse in it. It was very good. Plot, you know, the plot's the plot. Girl ends up on an ice planet full of barbarians that are blue aliens, and they get it on. I mean, that's basically the plot of the whole thing. Excellent book. As Smut Corner goes, I'll give it like a 4 for Smut Corner, because it's perfect. If you just want to read smut, it's the perfect book. All right, so I think that's everything for July that I actually read. So let's go to my TBR for August now. So, Great Expectations, again, I know I've said it like in 3 videos now. I apologize. I will get it read. Today's the 8th, like I said, of July. The 8th of August. So, I do have some time still to read Great Expectations. I'm not going to hold myself to any specific dates on that one. So, Great Expectations still on the TBR. Wind in the Willows. I'm currently reading Wind in the Willows. I'm almost done with Wind in the Willows. I wasn't able to finish it on my way home, in the car ride home. So, almost finished with that. I think I've got like 50 pages left of it to go, which really isn't very much as far as Wind in the Willows goes. It's a very short book. Queen of Shadows, like I said, still on that Sarah J. Maas train, working on Queen of Shadows. I'm actually almost done with Queen of Shadows. I have like an hour left in the audiobook, so it's pretty much done. And then after that, I'll be going to the next book, which is Empire of Storms. I wanted a couple things that were light to read, like physically read and also listen to. So physically read, I picked up Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I'm hoping it's really good. I didn't listen to it, I actually read it. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. It was a really good book. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm really hoping that Daughter of the Moon Goddess will be very similar, and it will kind of feel like that Studio Ghibli sort of vibe in it, because that's what I really enjoyed out of The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. It was a very Spirited Away-esque kind of feeling that I got when I was reading that book, and it was so good. So I have high hopes for Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I really like to read anything that has some Chinese mythology in it, because it's just so interesting. It's so different for other stuff that I've read. And then the last one that I picked up to listen to, because it was available on Libby, was Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. I just wanted something really light to listen to while I was working. If Queen of Shadows and if Empire of Storms, if I just kind of got sick of listening to Sarah J. Maas stuff during the month, then I'd at least have Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop to listen to. Real light, real fluffy. I'm really hoping that that one's good too, because I like anything that has to do with tea. I like magic, you know. I used to listen to a series by Laura Childs that was the Tea Shop Mysteries, and I thought that was really good. I actually haven't picked up the most recent Tea Shop Mysteries, but I might. And maybe I'll re-listen to some of those, because I think most of them are on Libby now. It's been a few years, but yeah, I think that would be really good. So anyway, that is everything I read in July, and everything in August. One other thing, the Smut Corner for August. Ooh, what was I doing for Smut Corner for August? Oh yes, I remember now. For August, it was going to be The King of Battle and Blood, which is vampires, and your girl got a thing for vampires, man. Do I ever. Dracula, oh my gosh, Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie, oh, that was like my ultimate fantasy years ago. I'm embarrassing myself now. But anyway, so again, as I said, that's it for July and what I'm going to be doing in August. So please share with me what you guys are reading. Please share with me what you guys are reading and listening to, what you think of Smut Corner, you know, that kind of thing. I love smut. Recommend me the smut. But I thank you all so much for joining me. And if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. And goodbye. Have a great day.